Good afternoon. My name is Olufunlayo Otubi, and welcome back to school. I've been going over some lesson plans, and I feel that we need to do a recap of what lesson planning is all about. Who are you planning the lesson for? What type of learners? What's the subject? For how long is it going to be? What date is it? How many periods is it? Those are all the things that you have at the back of your mind. So you start writing the lesson plan. You've written the subject, you've written the date, you've written the week. The first thing is, what is the topic? You've looked at your scheme. You've looked at the curriculum, you looked at the scheme. You need to ensure that what you've written in the diary for that week is what you're planning for. And so you write the lesson objectives. I've read over time, years ago, and sometimes it comes up from time to time, people putting, by the end of the lesson, the children should be able to know, they should be able to understand. Those are not lesson objectives. Lesson objectives are action terms, or you can assess an objective because it's an action. Has it taken place? So by the end of the lesson, the pupils, the students, the learners should be able to do A, B, C. And so you're putting words like describe, list, explain, compare, differentiate, analyze. And it shouldn't be too many. For a 40-minute lesson, for a primary school, you should be conscious of what you want to achieve. A scientific fact is that the attention span of anybody is their age in minutes. That's the effective concentration time that you have of that child. So if you are teaching 8-year-olds, think of an 8 minutes at length for a stretch. Beyond 8 minutes, you've lost their attention. So you need to break it up. So we start with the objectives. You've written your objectives, and then you get to the procedure part of the lesson plan. And you've got to have an interesting starter. Normally, when my children come into the class, they meet worksheets on their tables according to abilities. What worksheet I give for my lower ability is different from my average, is different from my higher ability. So they are always expected. They come into the class and they get to work. It's 5 minutes. After 5 minutes, they finished, and then we can start the main lesson. So the next thing is introduction. You write, or your introduction shouldn't be you talking for more than 10 minutes. Learners, children, they love listening to them. So even teachers, when you go for staff meetings, you find that they prefer to listen to a co-teacher than to the head teacher talking at length, or the principal talking at length. So just like that, the learners, you are the teacher, so you are talking, but don't speak for more than 10 minutes. And in that 10 minutes, you've introduced the lesson effectively. And then you go on to the part that has activities. The activities should have taken into cognizance in your planning the fact that you have the auditory learners, you have the kinesthetic, tactile learners, and you have the visual learners. What are they going to be doing during those activities? Don't forget that the activities should also be timed. For in 10 minutes, they're supposed to be able to do A, B, C. There's specific instructions that you are giving for each group. I suggest that those activities, if they're not differentiated, they should be varied. You shouldn't give the same thing to everybody to do. Because they have different abilities and learning styles. But when you plan the activities, have an eye to the objectives of the lesson. Okay, so they finish the activities which are timed. You now go to, if possible, go deeper into what you want them to know about the lesson. They should be able to tie in what they've achieved at the end of that activity. Somebody in the group should be able to present on behalf of the group. Remember, we're teaching synergy, we're teaching collaboration. So they worked as a team, and somebody is going to be able to present what they've done, tying it into a particular objective of one of the ones you listed for the lesson. So they finished the activity, they've defended it, they've tied it in, and you now do a recap. Remember, you introduced the lesson, you set them to the activities, you've gone deeper, they've tied in the what they achieved during the task with their objective, and then you do a recap of the lesson, and then you ask them, have we met the lesson objectives? It's at this point, because you are teaching them reflective skills. Each of them thinks about it. Okay, can I now describe? Can I now list? Can I compare? Can I relate? Can I prefer solutions? And because it's intrinsic, they're able to really recall and then see whether they've met the objectives. And then there's the part that most of them don't like, writing the notes. So the notes shouldn't be lengthy, and they shouldn't be full of ambiguous English. It should be such that when they read it, they can recall the lesson easily. And because it's been an interesting lesson, they're able to tie in what you've taught, what they've done, with the lesson objectives. So there we are. That's lesson planning for effective learning. And at the end, when they finished all that, you as the teacher, when you've taught the lesson, need to be able to do qualitative reflection. What could I have done better during that lesson? Because when we observe lessons, that's another topic for another day. We expect for you to be able to say, okay, I could have done better. I could have done A, B, C differently. It would have been a better lesson. Or I shouldn't have done this. I shouldn't have done that one. It would have been better. So you're teaching them reflective skills as they think about the objectives being attained, and yourself, you're becoming a better educator by reflecting on what could I have done better. If I had to teach it again, what would I have done differently? So this has been Olufemilayo Tubi talking about lesson planning in the totality. What you get ready for that. And I forgot to mention the resources. Remember that when you are presenting your lesson plan, there's a portion for resources. And those resources must show that you are planning for your high ability, low ability, average ability, and you're planning for your visual learners, your kinesthetic tactile, and your auditory learners. Remember that you are also assessing the plenary, you are assessing the 3 domains: affective, psychomotor, and affective domains. They must all be taken into cognizance when you are planning your lesson. So, like I said earlier, this has been Olufemilayo Tubi talking about lesson planning. Have a beautiful week ahead and a beautiful term ahead too. God bless you. Thank you.